This is A to Z with Mark Zinno, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, and it starts now.
Good afternoon. Welcome to A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, where today I ask, what do we do next? Welcome in. We are live. I am away from my home studio, as you can tell. I am actually down at Fort Stewart in Georgia doing some training for the week. So I'm stepping away here just to spend some time with you guys all week long, every day here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL. I'm at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Appreciate you guys joining me as always here on this Tuesday. And there is a lot to discuss throughout the rest of this week. As we said, we have Falcons minicamp coming up, or I should say rookie camp coming up at the end of this week. We'll discuss more of things there, including a very impressive draft grade that the Falcons got as well. Braves getting set to take on the Boston Red Sox in a 2-game series. Super pivotal time for them right now if they really want to make that leap over 500. But I want to start tonight with the Atlanta Hawks. And I want to start with what they're going to do this offseason. You know, Tony Ressler made comments to the media and talked about the future of this team and the future of where they're going to go and how they're going to get there. And Chris Kirshner, a friend of the show, does a great job of covering the Hawks. And, you know, in his mailbag, he started asking fans to ask questions about what the future is going to look like, possible trades that they're going to see, and everything else that's going on. And so in reading the mailbag, you know, it's one of those things where he brings to light, without necessarily saying so, the true lack of options that the Hawks have in front of them. And this is interesting to me because I've said repeatedly, you cannot just run this thing back, right? We know that. Like, if you cannot run this thing back as it's currently constructed and expect to be better. At best, they're the 6th best team in the East. They just don't have the defense to be able to compete at a high level and win enough playoff games and enough playoff series to even get yourself back to the Eastern Conference Finals at this point. And so what do you do to make this team better? And while Tony Ressler has admitted that they have to get better on defense, I asked the question, how? Because are there really that many high-level defenders available for this team to be had at a price that they can afford? This team is already over the luxury tax limit and the salary cap. Like, they have to make moves in order to get under that. And I don't know how they're going to do that and still add pieces that are going to make a significant difference. And so let's just say, for argument's sake, even if they don't care about the money and they are willing to bring people in, who's available that's going to make this defense markedly better? And I don't really know the answer to that. Whether it's names like Jeremy Grant or other names that are out there, I don't really know what's possible for them when it comes to adding pieces to make this defense markedly better. So if there's not secondary pieces that you can add that are available, what's left? Well, that's sort of a blockbuster trade, and that's it. Like, I'm not sure that there's anything else that they can do that really is so impactful that it's going to change this team. So from that standpoint, when you look at what there, it's trade Collins, it's Gallinari, it's trade Kevin Huerter. I mean, all these pieces that are part of their core are moves that are going to have to be made. DeAndre Hunter, is he here long term? I mean, if you want this team to get significantly better, particularly defensively, you're going to have to break up the core of this team. I don't know how it doesn't happen any other way. I think that this team is super talented, and I think that they have a lot of good pieces, but they don't have a lot of great pieces. And they don't have enough pieces that will make them great over the course of an 82-game regular season and into a postseason. And Chris Kirshner, again, does a great job at looking at all the options that are available, whether it's Rudy Gobert as somebody that could be available. You talk about the other players that are out there that could actually, impact this team. He discusses Gallinari is going to be here long term as somebody who's likely going to get cut. Um, possibly Malcolm Brogdon was another name bandied about in the column. And I don't know if this team is ready to do that. Like, there's a certain sense of I want to have the same pieces year in and year out, and I want some semblance of consistency because that's really what's going to help you get better is just by having a baseline and then getting a little bit better each year by one or two players, by one or two pieces that ultimately make a difference. And so is upsetting the entire apple cart and rolling the dice and hoping a whole new core of players, not a whole new, but a mostly new core of players is going to be able to net the results that you want. I don't know. It's tough to do that year in and year out. I mean, maybe for some other teams and some other players, like that's a possibility, but I don't know if it's a possibility here. And so I've said repeatedly about the Hawks' future being bright. Remember what I said that, hey, if bright means just be fun, be competitive, win games, make the playoffs, then yes, it's bright. But if you want to talk about winning a championship, there's not a bright future here, at least not right now. This is a team that is fun, it's exciting, it's competitive, it'll make the playoffs, it'll win a couple playoff games, maybe even a playoff series, but it's not a championship caliber ball club. And that is the hard reality that Tony Ressler and the Hawks have faced right now in understanding where they are. And Chris Kirschner alluded to that in his mailbag. Without a blockbuster move, without a huge, massive trade this offseason or some massive deal that is going to completely shake up what this team is as we know it, I don't know that they can get better enough. That's not the way I want to phrase that, but you get the point. If they can improve more enough that they are going to be a team that is top four in the Eastern Conference, let alone top one or two. And so, what do the Hawks do? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I think that they are there. They're in the mix, but they're not like, you know, good enough to really consider themselves championship caliber. And isn't that sort of the NBA purgatory, right? You're not in the lottery, but yet you're not a top team in the conference. You're just good enough to make the playoffs, but never good enough to beat anybody of worth. That's NBA purgatory. And it's not a place where you want to be for an extended period of time. Because if you are, you're going to struggle. And ultimately, you're going to end up firing coaches and trading away major pieces to try and make things better. So the Hawks have some really hard decisions to make this offseason, and it's going to be very interesting to see what they do. All right, coming up next, we will get to the Atlanta Falcons as rookie minicamp gets underway and some very impressive draft grades. Plus, I think there is one surprise that we haven't acknowledged yet that I will divulge about the Falcons rookies. That's coming up next. It is A to Z right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you search Locked On Sports Atlanta.